2025 and 2026 are not normal years. It is the year the prophets warned us about. Wars didn't just happen, they multiplied. Russia, Israel, Sudan, Myanmar, Thailand, Venezuela. Look at any map right now and you'll see fire. Conflicts on every single continent. And above all of it, the terrifying shadow of nuclear war hanging over everything like a storm that's already here. 2,000 years ago, Jesus described this exact moment. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation. But here's what most people are missing right now. While everyone is watching the wars themselves, something far more significant is happening beneath the surface. Nation after nation is turning against one specific country, Israel. Ground offensive in Lebanon. Missile exchanges with Iran and Yemen. A face-off with Syria at the border. 5 simultaneous fronts. One singular target, Jerusalem. The prophet Zechariah wrote these words 2,500 years ago. Jerusalem will become a cup of trembling for all nations. All the nations of the earth will gather against her. That's not a metaphor anymore. That's today's headline. And there's more, much more. Today, we're going to walk through 10 prophetic events already unfolding in 2026 and show you exactly what the Bible says comes next. Because what we witnessed in 2025 was only the beginning. Jesus was clear about that. He called it the beginning of birth pains. The contractions have started. And in 2026, they are getting closer together. Number 10, Zechariah 12. Right now, here's something that should stop you cold. Israel has launched simultaneous strikes against Iran, Gaza, and Lebanon, and the world didn't just watch. It erupted. Turkey condemns. Iran mobilizes. The UN demands investigations. But the most jaw-dropping reaction isn't from governments. It's from the streets. London, Paris, New York. Thousands of ordinary people demanding sanctions against one tiny nation. Think about that. One country. The entire world reacting. This is no longer just a regional conflict. It has become a global verdict. And that verdict was already written. I will make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. All who try to move her will be cut to pieces. A cup that knocks nations off balance. A cup that wounds anyone who dares touch it. That is Israel in 2026. What began in March 2025 with Operation Power and Sword has never truly stopped. Bombs. Ground offensives, ceasefires that shattered within days, 2 Israeli soldiers killed, Israel responding with immediate, overwhelming force, the Rafah crossing sealed shut, aid frozen again, and then came the global pressure. Not bombs, something different. UN resolutions, media campaigns, coordinated street protests across Western capitals, a siege not fought with weapons, but with politics, cameras, and public opinion. This is exactly what Zechariah described. Not just armies, nations. All of them, uniting against one. What began in 2025 as nations turning against Israel is now, in 2026, accelerating toward the total siege the prophecy describes in full. And what God promises to do when that siege reaches its peak is something no alliance on earth will be able to stop. Number 9, Matthew 24, the nuclear clock. Here's a date that should haunt you. October 13th, 2025. The world came within a single sentence of nuclear war. Dmitry Medvedev, Putin's closest ally, issued a warning that cut through every diplomatic channel and landed like a blade. If the United States sends Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, we won't distinguish whether they're nuclear or conventional. Our response will be on the same level. Read that again, slowly. That same day, Putin rejected Trump's peace proposal and deployed Oreshnik hypersonic missiles to Belarus, ready for launch. 1 week later, 84 airstrikes, 193 guided bombs, over 6,300 Shahed drones. Kyiv and Kharkiv burning through the night, 46,000 Ukrainian soldiers killed, 380,000 wounded. And the world has not stepped back from that edge. It has moved closer to it. Because here's what most analysts are completely missing. It's not the war that fulfills the prophecy. It's the atmosphere surrounding it. Jesus said it with chilling precision. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. That phrase, rumors of wars, most people skim past it. But that is the key to understanding 2026. It describes a specific kind of dread, not the war itself, but the unbearable tension before it breaks. The nuclear threat hanging in the air, the missiles positioned and waiting, the world holding its breath. wondering who will finally cross the line. That tension didn't end in 2025. It followed us into 2026, and everything points to this being the year someone finally stops threatening and starts acting. Number 8. Ezekiel 38. The coalition forms. This one requires your full attention. When Hezbollah unleashed rockets on Israel's northern border in July 2025, and Israel responded with an AI-powered offensive that obliterated tunnels and neighborhoods alike. When Beirut went dark and 200,000 were displaced and the Lebanese government collapsed entirely, most people saw a regional conflict. They missed what was actually happening. Two details buried in that story change everything. The attack came from the north, and it was powered by Iranian technology. The prophet Ezekiel wrote these words 2,600 years ago. Son of man, set your face against Gog, Persia, Cush, and put with them the house of Togarmah from the far north and all its troops. Ezekiel names the far north, directly north of Israel, Lebanon, Syria, the ancient region of Togarmah. Ezekiel also names Persia. Today, Persia is Iran, the exact nation supplying the drone technology used in those northern attacks. What we witnessed wasn't just another conflict. It was the prophesied Gog and Magog coalition assembling piece by piece, not in a vision, not in symbolism, on live news footage. And in 2026, that coalition is not disbanding, it is consolidating. The stage is not just set, the curtain is rising. Number 7. Revelation 8. The sky turns red. January 7th, 2025. Los Angeles firefighters saw something they had never seen before. Cars melting in the street, metal dripping like candle wax. 3 simultaneous fires. Flame tornadoes towering 100 feet high, 150,000 acres burned, 18,000 buildings gone, 500,000 people fleeing, $53 billion in destruction. The costliest natural disaster on the planet that entire year. But the number that matters isn't the dollar figure, it's the color of the sky. During the night, smoke and fire painted the horizon deep red, blood red, while ash fell over the city like endless black snow. Read the news, and you see a tragedy. Read the Bible, and you see a warning. The first angel sounded his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, hurled down on the earth. A third of the earth was burned up. Fire and hail mixed with blood. A sky stained blood red by flames. Dry lightning creating a literal hail of fire. But why Los Angeles? Of all places, why there? For decades, this city exported everything the scriptures call darkness. Violence packaged as entertainment. Witchcraft sold as culture, the pornography capital of the world, and laws passed allowing abortion up to the very moment of birth. For many, that was the moment the city signed its own verdict. Here is the question that should keep you awake at night. If what happened in Los Angeles was the first trumpet, what does the second trumpet bring? What does the third? Because in 2026, the angels haven't stopped sounding. Number 6. Isaiah 17. The ancient city on the edge. Damascus is the oldest continuously inhabited city on earth. Over 11,000 years of history. It has outlasted every empire that tried to erase it. But the Bible says one day it won't. Damascus will no longer be a city, but will become a heap of ruins. After Assad fell in 2024 and radical leader Ahmed al-Shara rose to power, Syria became a powder keg. In July 2025, the fuse lit. A militia clash left 250 dead in 4 days. Then, on July 16th, Israel launched a direct airstrike at the heart of Damascus. Missiles hit the Ministry of Defense. Strikes landed near the presidential palace, not the outskirts, the center of power. Israel's message was unmistakable. The era of warnings is over. Now, in 2026, Damascus sits between two fires. Internal chaos tearing it apart from within. External pressure raining down from above. An ancient city for the first time in its 11,000-year history, genuinely teetering on the edge of becoming exactly what the prophet described, a heap of ruins. We are watching the dress rehearsal reach its final act. Number 5. Revelation 6. The Black Horse is riding. This may be the most direct prophetic parallel happening right now. Sudan. Videos that are almost too horrifying to watch. Civilians eating grass just to stay alive. Over 150,000 dead, 10 million displaced. 25 million surviving on rationed food. Children dying from malnutrition every single day. The UN has declared it the worst humanitarian crisis on the planet. But one specific number stands above all others. In Khartoum, wheat prices have risen 300%. A single loaf of bread now costs the equivalent of a full day's wages. One entire day of work, one piece of bread. Now read what the Apostle John wrote nearly 2,000 years ago. And I looked, and behold, a black horse. He who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard a voice saying, a quart of wheat for a day's wages, a denarius, the precise daily wage of a laborer. 1 day of work for 1 day of food. That is not symbolism. That is Sudan right now. The rider of the black horse is the horseman of famine. And he is not slowing down in 2026. He is accelerating. And if the black horse is already riding, the other horsemen are saddled and waiting. Number 4, 2 Timothy 3, when evil stops hiding. February 2025, a video from Myanmar circled the globe and made the world sick. Soldiers shooting unarmed civilians in a marketplace, laughing, shouting slurs, filming it like entertainment, not a tactical mistake. Evil performing for an audience. The military junta has responded to its losses with a savagery that has abandoned every trace of human conscience. Over 1,000 documented airstrikes. Schools and hospitals incinerated. 3 million people driven into the jungle. Torture chambers. Gang rape used as a weapon of terror. Public executions of children. Buddhist temples turned into military bases. Political analysis cannot reach this. The numbers stopped capturing it. The Apostle Paul did. In the last days, perilous times will come. Men will be lovers of themselves, brutal, without natural affection, despisers of good, without natural affection. The death of the instinct that makes human beings protect the innocent. When soldiers laugh during a massacre, when power is worth more than a child's life, that instinct is not weakened, it is gone. 2025 showed us the death of empathy on live video. 2026 is showing us what comes after the death of empathy. And the answer is darker than most people are prepared to face. Number 3, Joel 2, when the earth itself speaks. March 28, 2025, 9:43 in the morning. Myanmar was already bleeding from war. Then the earth joined in. A 7.7 magnitude earthquake struck near Mandalay. The ground split open. Buildings collapsed in seconds. 45,500 people killed. 30,000 homes destroyed. But the earthquake was only the opening act. When the buildings fell, gas lines snapped, electrical cables broke. The ancient wooden structures of Mandalay's central market became torches. Fires consumed the city, and for days, towering columns of black smoke rose so high they blotted out the sun over a nation already living in the darkness of civil war. The prophet Joel wrote these exact words centuries before Christ. I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. 3 signs. Myanmar witnessed all 3 in a single day. Blood, thousands of earthquake victims. Fire, uncontrollable flames devouring the city. Columns of smoke, dense black pillars swallowing the sky. The people caught between bombs and earthquake fire had no idea they were living out a Bible verse in real time. Myanmar in 2025 was a deafening alarm, and that alarm is still ringing in 2026. The prophetic clock is not slowing down. It is approaching midnight. Number 2, Luke 21, the sea roars. March 12, 2025. Australia's east coast stopped being a paradise. Cyclone Alfred arrived as a Category 4 monster and brought the ocean with it. A 26-foot wall of water hit the coast. Streets in Townsville became rivers 10 feet deep. The Hawkesbury River near Sydney rose 43 feet, swallowing cars, livestock, and entire homes in the worst flooding seen in 50 years. Then came the moment that stunned the entire nation. Saltwater crocodiles, forced from their habitat by the flooding, were spotted swimming through residential streets, circling between houses, moving through neighborhoods. Australia, one of the wealthiest and most prepared nations on earth, declared a national emergency and called on New Zealand and the United States for help. A modern superpower, overwhelmed, helpless, struggling to breathe underwater. But here is the detail that changes how you read this story. Survivors didn't describe the sound of water. They described thunder, a continuous, unstoppable, deafening roar. And that word, roar, is the exact word Jesus chose. There will be signs in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars, and on the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea, and the waves roaring. 2 parts, both fulfilled exactly. The sea roared and consumed the coastline, and a modern nation stood bewildered and powerless, precisely as the prophecy described. This was not a weather event. This was a word becoming reality. If one coastline roared in 2025, how many coastlines will roar in 2026 as the King's return draws closer? Number 1. Revelation 16. The path is opening. May 22nd, 2025. The sound of crunching metal in the South China Sea put the world on edge. A Chinese vessel deliberately rammed a Filipino boat at Sandy Cay Reef. Not an accident, a message. And to understand the full weight of that message, you need to know what came just before it. Between April and May 2025, the United States and the Philippines launched Operation Balacan. 14,000 troops, anti-ship missiles, joint patrols with Japan and Australia, one of the largest military exercises the region had ever seen. China's answer was the ram. Military analysts call it a struggle for ocean control. Students of biblical prophecy recognize something far larger: the preparation for Armageddon. The 6th angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. In ancient times, the Euphrates River was the great barrier holding Eastern empires back. Today, that barrier is not a river. It is the network of strategic sea routes controlled by Western military power, and China is systematically drying it up, seizing the South China Sea, challenging U.S. naval dominance. Securing every corridor it needs to project military force on a global scale. The great king of the East is clearing its path, and in 2026, that path is clearer than it has ever been. The skirmishes of 2025 were not isolated incidents. They were prophecy in motion, and in 2026, that motion is accelerating. Now step back and see the full picture. 10 prophetic events, all converging, all pointing in the same direction, all happening now. We are not approaching the darkest period in human history. We may already be entering it. 7 years of total collapse, complete control, the rise of the mark of the beast, the great tribulation. Why does 2026 mark a turning point? The Apostle Peter left us a precise mathematical key. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. Apply that pattern to all of human history. 4,000 years passed from Adam to Jesus. 4 days. 2,000 more years have passed from Jesus until now. 2 more days. 6,000 years. 6 days. We are in the closing seconds of the 6th day. The 7th millennium, the literal kingdom of Christ on earth, stands at the door. And nearly every biblical timeline converges on a window between 2025 and 2030. But one final sign tells us the door is about to open. 3 names: China, Russia, Iran. These 3 nations are not aligning by accident. They have formed the modern prophetic axis that the Bible described centuries before any of them held their current power. Ezekiel saw them coming from the north. Revelation saw them marching from the east. And in 2026, that alliance is not weakening. It is moving. The path is drying up. The kings are advancing. The clock has almost no time left. And everything, every war, every rumor, every roaring sea, every blood-red sky is pointing to one moment that is closer than the world realizes. The clock has almost no time left, and everything, every war, every rumor, every roaring sea, every blood-red sky is pointing to one moment that is closer than the world realizes. Here is what you need to understand. Most people will watch this video, feel the weight of it, and then scroll past. They will go back to their routine and forget what they just saw. Don't be that person, because the events we just walked through are not slowing down. They are speeding up. New developments are happening right now. New prophecies are aligning in real time. And if you are not paying attention, you will miss what is unfolding right before your eyes. That is exactly why the secret Rhema channel exists. This is not just another religious channel. This is your prophetic radar. Every update, every breaking event, every new alignment between scripture and current events, it comes here first. While the world is busy being distracted, this community is watching, understanding, and staying ahead of what is coming. The people who subscribed a year ago saw 2025 coming before it arrived. The people subscribed today will understand 2026 before it fully unfolds. You do not want to be the person who looks back and says, "I saw the signs, and did nothing. So right now, before you watch another video, before you scroll to the next thing, hit that subscribe button. Turn on your notifications. Join the secret Rhema channel and become part of the community that refuses to sleep while the rest of the world does. The prophetic clock is ticking. Make sure you're listening when it strikes.